You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Tuesday, 26th day of May, 2020. Turns out I had an open mic during the intro, so that's why you should always watch what you say. And I did. So anything you heard, I don't have to apologize for. It's just that the mic was open. All right. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. I know we've all been spending a lot of time with our family of late, so that's not so much an issue, but I do hope you had an opportunity to spend some time in reflection for those who have stood on foreign soil, who have given their life for this country, for your freedom. Freedom's not free. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. And you know what? We've had brave men and women who stood on our shores and lost their life to defend your freedom. The freedom that we have been reminded, if anything, this pandemic crisis that we've gone through and are going through, how precious that freedom is. When you're locked up in your house and told to stay there, I don't care how many square feet you have in your home, those walls start to close in a bit. But it's a new dawn, it's a new day. Let's open with a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for your blessings, your mercy, and for your grace. Father, for those who caught themselves away from home when this shutdown, this lockdown happened, be it American missionaries stranded in a foreign land, or perhaps it's even foreign missionary. Did you know that foreign countries send missionaries to America? It's a true story. So God, we pray that anyone who has had to endure this away from home, away from their family, perhaps even in isolation. You know, it's one thing to be isolated with another person, but to be isolated alone, that can be scary. So Father, we pray for those people. We pray that you get them home safely. And we thank you, God, for watching over them and caring for them during this period that they've had to endure and that some are still enduring. And Lord, for those workers in a number of industries who have lost their job or facing losing their job, or perhaps the business they work for is not going to reopen. God, we don't know what the new normal is going to look like. But I pray, God, that you would keep everyone from panic and inspire your church to generously support these people as their needs arise. And God, we pray for families with young children at home who may be at home throughout the summer. Some day camps are opening, some summer camps are opening, and some aren't. God, help mothers and fathers to partner together creatively for the care and flourishing of their children. For single mothers and fathers, God, we pray that they would find a network of support, even if it be online. Someone that they can connect to, someone who truly understands the things that they're going through. Because sometimes, God, it just helps to talk. And we know we can always talk to you, and that you always listen. But sometimes we just need another human to bounce things off of, and sometimes just to vent. And God, for parents who could not stay home from work, but must find care for their children. Perhaps they have an opportunity to go back to their job, but what are they going to do with the kids? All we can do, God, is ask that you provide creative solutions. We thank you again for all of your blessings in our life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, here we are. New York Stock Exchange opened up partially today. There are bodies back on the floor. They got to wear a mask. They got to sanitize when they come in the door. They got to pass a temperature check where they scan your forehead, make sure you don't have a fever. Now, what happens if one of these returning traders to the floor, what happens if they contract COVID? Will that shut the exchange down again? Now, the word from the top is no. Because if one of these returning floor traders, brokers, if they should test positive at some point in the future for coronavirus, there's no way to know that they got it on the floor of the exchange. They could have got it on the subway on the way into work, or any other number of ways. What they're doing is they're practicing social distancing. You sanitize your hands when you come in, you wear a mask, no handshakes, no high fives, no chest butts and no head butts. It's going to be a little bit different world for some time to come. And gradually they will increase the numbers that come back. And right now, a lot of the companies have chosen not to come back just yet. Some of the brokerage firms. Some are back today, and some have decided to just take a wait-and-see approach. What's truly interesting and what differentiates this from what we experienced at 9/11, okay, when the towers fell on 9/11, and the exchange shut down. We did not know if the exchanges would ever be open. In fact, from day to day, we did not know what tomorrow would look like. Now, when I sent my employees home on the day of 9/11, I told them to go home, be with your families, pray, and if the world exists tomorrow, as we know it today, then I expect you to be here at work on time. And that night, when President Bush addressed the nation, he delivered a tremendous speech. It was very much heartfelt. And he ended that speech with these words: "Tomorrow, America goes back to work." I can't express my feelings in that his feelings echoed the sentiment that I had shared with my employees that very morning. And so, as America goes back to work, we're going to find out what this new normal looks like. I'm sure there'll be areas where there's outbreaks and uprisings, and we're just going to have to deal with it. Just as we've dealt with the last few months. Whatever the future holds, as long as we keep our faith, our trust, our hope in God, we'll come through this. Okay, just a little bit of news I'll throw at you because I think it's kind of important. Okay, China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, issued a statement yesterday that the United States is pushing China towards a new Cold War over this coronavirus pandemic. Now, I don't know what news station or news cycle that you watch, but if you've not seen evidence of how China mishandled this, that they're trying to place the blame on the president, why don't we take a step back? When this thing first erupted in China, okay, and how it's been handled since. It's a little bit frightening. But I don't want you to be frightened, because the most often quoted scripture in the Bible says, "Fear not." Okay? But Wang Yi, don't forget, we're talking about the Communist Party of China. Okay? China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, said the U.S. is pushing China towards a new Cold War because we're holding them accountable for their actions. President Trump has repeatedly criticized China's handling of the initial outbreak in the city of Wuhan late last year, accusing Beijing of fudging China's death toll and hiding early information on the outbreak. Trump, who has referred to the pandemic as the Wuhan virus and the China virus, also said the World Health Organization, who? Yeah, who? World Health Organization, helped China cover up early information on the virus. Now, China is a co-founder of the World Health Organization, and the amount of money that they give each year, even though they got a lot more people than we do, the amount they give to WHO each year is second on the list. You might think they'd be number one since they're co-founders and since they have more people, but the U.S. is by far the number one contributor, but President Trump's putting a stop to that. China's got to step up to the plate, pay their fair share. It seems only fair. This dangerous attempt to turn back the wheel of history will undo the fruits of decades-long China-U.S. cooperation, dampen Americans' own development prospects, and put world stability and prosperity in jeopardy. Were those Trump's words or the China foreign minister's words? China. China has said that if we don't straighten up, they might sanction us. Now, some of you are old enough in this audience to remember the end of World War II. I know that's pushing the envelope for some, but some of you do. It was a joyous time. but right on the heels of that joyous time became a new threat, a threat you couldn't see with the naked eye, the Cold War, which extended for many decades until President Ronald Reagan fixed it. Okay? We are on the brink of such a relationship with China, and that is no good for nobody, not no way, not no how. So as you pray for our nation, you pray for our leaders, pray for our relationship with China, that we don't have to endure the decades of wonder and worry that the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union put us through. All right, let's go to the charts. We'll start out with the S&P 500 E-mini Futures. Guys, the resistance I showed you this morning, we did two things new today. I came on and gave everyone in the live training room an update, a daily type update, before Michael showed up to do what he does each day. And then as we ended the live training room, Valerie stepped in and did something that she's going to do on a daily basis. She went through some very basic charting stuff, things that maybe you don't understand about the charting platform, how to best use it, how to make the most use of all the features. Now, as long as there's a need, as long as there's a call for it, she has agreed to do that each morning. At the end of the live training room, the training room is open 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I've been asked, am I going to come and do that pre-open update each day? We're going to see how it goes. If things work well, I'll show up in the morning and open the room at 5:30 a.m. If I don't get there till 5:45 or 6, or there may be some days I can't make it. If there's a day that I clearly know I cannot make it, then I'll just send out a Telegram message to the group, to the discussion group. No pre-market today. And then each day following the live training room, again, Valerie has offered out of the kindness of her heart, because she knows that many of you still struggle with some of the aspects, even though we use a very simple platform. And let me speak to the platform. We use this platform for a number of reasons. Probably the number one reason is Bert Schlichter. Now, Michael and I, we do not receive a finder's fee if you do business with Daniels Trading. We do not receive any share of commissions that you might pay to Daniels Trading. Any of you who took the time to watch the video I posted over the weekend by Anton Creel, there's a lot of good information in there. There's also some misinformation, but we can talk about that another time. All right, I said we'd go to the daily chart. Now, where are we in regards to, you know what, let me just save that. Let me save that. I will show you this. We had a bullish cross on the 22nd on the 30-minute chart. Now, you've heard me say again and again, it holds more often than it doesn't. What does that mean? Price pulls away, price pulls back. It either holds or it doesn't. So, bullish cross on the 22nd, the pullback held. And where did it hold? Right at our alert. Right there. Okay? Now, I've already explained you should not have been shorting this. I mean, you should have been shorting this, but not this. Why? Because you would be selling right into support. Okay? That's why it's very important that you always look at your chart before you trade an alert. You don't just blindly trade an alert. Okay? So price pulls back to the BBC and it holds, pulls back to the BBC and it holds, pulls back to the BBC and it holds, pulls back to the BBC and it holds. What happened? We ran into, what's that called? The step line. And blue and flat quickly became red and flat, which became red and falling. And now we're below the BBC for the first time since the 22nd. Now here's your daily look from the daily chart. The bearish cross took place as you've heard me say again and again, February 27th, at a price of $32.72. And it took us to a low of $21.74 on March 23rd. Buyers came in, rallied us up to the BBC, where we expect resistance when we approach from below. Here again, it holds more often than it doesn't. We traded down to support. Support sent us back up to resistance, where it held again and sent us back down to support. This time support was blue and climbing. And blue and climbing, we rode the back of it above the BBC. We closed that day, that session, at 26.47.50. The following day, we had a bullish session. We ran up to exactly where we expected to find resistance, and by the session close, we were below where we opened for the day. Okay, but we were slightly off the low of the day. Following day, we trade up to resistance. The following session, we get above that resistance. This line had already been drawn on the chart. We were just waiting for the market to get there so we could find the resistance we were looking for. Resistance sent us back to support. Support sent us up through this resistance. It took 2 days to get through red and sideways. This day right here, this was the outlier of the whole thing, the one that I just kind of wasn't fully expecting, but there it was. The next day we reversed every tick, and it took 3 sessions to bring us back to the BBC, where we expect it to hold, because it holds more often than it doesn't. We caught a bounce, but we couldn't touch that resistance high. This little doji here set a signal to traders, and back we go to support, where we spent 3 sessions. Then we caught a rally on the 18th, ran into resistance on the 19th, caught another rally off the back of blue and climbing on the 20th. We had a red day on the 21st. We ran into resistance again. And here's the 22nd, the day that I just showed you on the 30-minute chart. The last bullish cross we had on the 30-minute chart took place on May 22nd. We have now taken out the high. Okay, we took it out yesterday. We didn't take it out Friday. Yesterday was a holiday, but Sunday night I sent out the alerts, both Concierge and Logic. Those of you that were in trading mode, bells for you. And last night, of course, on the Globex Open, Concierge went out, Logic went out, and then this morning, as I was giving my pre-market talk, just prior to that, I sent out a series of alerts, and if you participated in those, that bell's for you as well. And if you heeded what I had said, Tim, you say you have no audio. You're the first person that said that. Can anybody else hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Let me just type in a message to Tim.
Okay. All right, guys, so look at where we're at. This is an important day. All right. The close here was 29.58 half, 29.44 half, 29.89 half. The high today, now we're off the highs. The high today so far, 30.1975. Okay, we've traded back to 2002. Is that the low for today? No, actually, the low is 29.8075. All right. So where's the next potential resistance? It's already outlined, just like it was at each one of these spots. Okay. This is our next area for potential resistance on the daily chart. Now, between here and there, on the 30-minute, will there be long trades? Will there be short trades? Well, if we stay above the BBC, there will only be long trades on the 30-minute. If we get below the BBC, then there will be short trades. But the next major resistance on the daily chart, let's be conservative and call it 3090. Okay. In fact, let me just give you the highest weekly trading zone for this week because it's important. 3077/3078. Now that's me being conservative. That's me being conservative. Last week, we spent the entire week trading between the top 2 weekly trading zones on the S&P. Hope we don't get caught up in that again this week, but if we do, we do. Now, we had a holiday yesterday, so that's not an official day. We have a long-standing thing. If we reach the highest or lowest weekly trading zone by a Tuesday morning, which because of the holiday would now become a Wednesday morning, there's a high probability of the market reversing and traveling all the way back across the field before the end of the week. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Just know overhead resistance. Now, partners, CFRN members, all got the new weekly trading zones this morning. Okay? When there's a Monday holiday, we send them out on Tuesday. The typical time for them to go out is Monday, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009. They provide an incredibly valuable framework for you to use when putting your trades together. You use the trading methodology that we teach you inside of those weekly trading zones. Now, Michael's standing by, so let me give you the numbers from around the world real quick. And I've spoken with John this morning. He said he will be joining us. All right. The Dow currently up. Let me refresh that one more time. The Dow currently up 590 points, 2.5%. NASDAQ up 81. Now, these are the cash market, the indices. Cash markets, the indexes themselves, were not moving yesterday on the holiday. Futures were trading. But the cash market, the index itself, is based upon the movement of stock. So when I say it's up 2.5%, that means it's up 2.5% from Friday's close, okay? Not yesterday. Because in the world of stocks, cash markets, indices, indexes, yesterday didn't exist. NASDAQ is up 81 points since Friday's close. That's a gain of almost 1%. S&P 500 is up 50. Gain of 1.5%. Russell 2000 is up 40 points. For the Russell, that's a gain of 3%. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 39 cents, trading 33.64 last. That's a gain of almost 1.25%. Gold, different story, down $26.60. Trading 1708.90 last. It's a drop of 1.5%. In the Asian markets, at the close, Nikkei posted a gain. Now these markets were open yesterday. Nikkei posted a gain today at the close of 529 points, 2.5%. Shanghai gained 28 points, a little over 1%. The Hang Seng gained 432 points, almost 2%. You hear the saber rattle there? In the European markets at the close, FTSE posted a gain, 75 points, 1.25%. The DAX gained 113, 1%. The CAC gained 66 points, 1.5%. That gives us a green day in Asia, a green day in the UK, and so far it's a big green radio Tuesday here in the US of A. So let's go to Michael and get a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. When I come back, we'll talk to John. We'll do a full recap of the Concierge Trade Alerts, the Logic Alerts, all that in answers to your questions.
Okay.
Michael, you've got it.
I got it.
Locked and loaded.
All right.
It's in your hands.
Okay. I gotta go quick because Jake's got a doctor's appointment soon. So I'm just going to go through everything as I normally do. And here, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 26th day of May, 2020. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. And right over here, it says free 5-day trial. If you click on that, you will be brought to this page. And on this page, we give you a bunch of information. Try to minimize the information because the other, the home page at CFRN.net has got just an abundance of information. But all we ask for here is your name, your email, your phone number. And you can fill out this if you want to. Hit the send button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Now, you must click on that confirmation link. All right. If you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial. All right. So if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. As I said, today is the 26th day of May, 2020. Today, I made 2 mistakes on Crude, and I got stopped out on both of them. I should have had break even on Crude today, but we got minus 16, and we got plus 17 on the gold to make up for the Crude, and we got plus 16 on the ES, and we pulled that off right at the last minute. It was going to be a yellow day, but then right at the last minute, there were 2 trades. There was a gold trade and the ES trade. I'll go over those in just a minute. But so we ended plus 210 per contract per 2-hour day. Took 118 minutes and 12 trades to get to it, and we took a total of 12 trades. So on the month now, we're up $5,585 per contract per 2-hour day. That's over 17 business days, averaging $328 per contract. On the year, 35,920. That's over 95 business days, averaging $378 per contract per 2-hour day. Okay, let's get into it. Gold's where we had the most trades. And this, like I said, it was right at the last minute this morning. But let me scroll all the way back. Now, the markets were a total mess today. And gold still trading really thin. That's why you see a lot of missed trades, because it's trading really thin. And, it's moving around really fast. But let's go all the way back here. There we go. All right, this first trade on gold, we picked up, it looks like 5 ticks on that one. And you can see we missed a few right here. And this one, we picked up 4 more ticks to put us at plus 9. Then we had a break even right there. And here we had a plus 6 to get us to put us at plus 15 total. Then we had right here a plus 1 to put us at plus 16, and 1 more plus 1 to put us at plus 17. Now, I was just moving my stop to plus 1 tick to cover the commission cost. And the market was just jumping around so fast that, I really didn't have time to lock in much profit. Then it got really choppy. This is all during the break. It got really choppy. And the only trade was right here. Right here, it would have been a momentum short trade, break even. Okay, on the euro, we didn't do anything with the euro today. There are a couple of trades we missed. Just looking through everything. Yeah, there really wasn't much happening on the euro today. During the break, there was a momentum short trade right there. Okay, and we'll go to Crude, and I'll show you my 2 mistakes. All right, so Crude in the pre-market was running pretty good. And we got here, we had a momentum long trade. I should have bumped my stop to break even. It stopped me out to the tick, and then it went up and did what it should have done. But either way, I should have been out of that trade at break even. Same thing here. We had a momentum long trade. I should have had my stop at break even. It came back down and bumped me out. Now, if we go back here, see, I missed a trade right here that I didn't even mark. Right there, nice short trade. Missed one there, and that was it for the day on crude so far. All right, on the ES, this is where we really got the goal for the day. Last trade of the day, last minute of the day. But the ES was just horribly choppy. You know, we started out right here. We picked up 2 ticks on this down close. And then, I mean, just look at that. There was just nothing you could do in there. Then right here, the last trade of the day, we picked up 14 ticks on that one. I actually had 2 trades going on at that time. I had one on the ES and one on gold. And, well, we got the goal for the day right there. Since then, let's see, what has it done? Really, a short trade right here. And a long trade right over here. So, both of which would have been profitable had you gotten into them. Let's go back to the spreadsheet. Okay. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 26th day of May, 2020. We lost 16 ticks in crude, made 17 ticks in gold, and made 16 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 210 on the morning session. Today it took 118 minutes and 12 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're at plus 210, and we took a total of 12 trades. So on the month, we're up $5,585. That's over 17 days, averaging $328 per contract per 2-hour day. On the year, we're $35,920. That's over 95 days, averaging $378 per contract per 2-hour day. Okay. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page here at CFRN.net, and right here it says free 5-day trial. Click on that and it'll bring you to this page, EminiTradingSchool.com. Now on this page, you can go directly to EminiTradingSchool.com, but on this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Right here, you can put in your biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. All right, hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on that confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click it, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay? Okay, and with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I'm ready. Recap of the recap.
Today, it took 118 minutes and 12 trades to get to $210 a contract.
Good job.
Thank you.
And that's the truth about trading, folks. Some days you'll sit down, you'll reach your daily goal in one trade, and then it's like, now what do I do? You got to make plans for that, okay? Because idle hands and idle minds, as Granny Reeves used to say, is the devil's workshop. So, there will also be days you come in, you sit down, and you don't get it on the first trade, or the second, or the third. Remember, the daily goal is exactly that. It's to reach your goals for the day, each day. If it takes one trade, it's over how many trades?
Today, it took 12 trades.
12,
today.
right. I just wanted to
Well, I
make
had,
sure
I
had
had
it right.
2 trades on at the end.
Yeah.
I had a gold and an ES at the same time, and the ES is what really pushed it.
So
But
that's so
12
important.
trades total.
It's so important that you understand that if you're new to trading. It's because, of course, we all want to wake up, look at the chart, put on a trade, bing, it runs right to our target. Our brain gets flooded with all those good chemicals, the endorphins, and I think serotonin's one of them, or whatever. I'm no doctor. I don't even play one on the radio. But it's important that you understand, when you have a profitable trade, a trade that has a positive outcome, okay, something happens in your brain. It gets flooded with happy juice. It's no different than when an alcoholic takes a drink, or a drug addict goes to their drug of choice. The brain does the happy dance. And that gets a lot of traders in trouble. Not because you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, but in fact, the market can become your drug of choice. Because on the day that you can't get your fix, what kind of a person are you at the dinner table with your family? Maybe you're not angry, maybe you're not filled with rage, but you're quiet. I mean, the other people in your life, they can tell something's not quite right. So, just being aware of this doesn't make it go away. Just because I've pulled back the curtain and explained to you what happens in your brain when you hit your target versus getting stopped out. That's just the beginning of the journey. What's important now, how are you going to deal with that? And sometimes, and for some people, it can be as simple as just readjusting your expectations. If you expect to get it on the first trade and you don't, obviously that leads to disappointment. So give that some thought, and we'll leave it at that. Okay? All right, let's start out. I take it John's not in yet, right? I guess I'll look for myself. No, he's not here yet, but he'll be on his way, so we'll go ahead and get started. Now, the pre-market thing that we talked about, where I came in early this morning before Michael and kind of gave you an overlook of the day, what to, expect, the reasons why. You got to remember that 8:30 a.m. Eastern, that's 5:30 a.m. my time, okay? And my daughter's now going to day camp. Arizona is one of the places that is allowing that. And so I have some things to do in the morning. So on days that I can, I will. Days that I can't, I simply won't, okay? But on the days that I can, I will. All right, let's take a look, first off, at the Concierge Trade Alert recap, which Valerie was just kind enough to send over to me. Thank you, Valerie. Okay. Now, the last day we recapped was last Friday. At that point, we had a total of 78 alerts issued for the week. There were 60 actionable, 8 never triggered, 10 still waiting on a disposition. So at the end of the week, 15% of actionable alerts were stopped out. So far this week, this is since Sunday night at 6 p.m. when Globex opens, we had 26 total alerts, 2 never triggered, 2 were still waiting on a disposition. That's 22 actionable alerts. 9% of actionable alerts so far this week have been stopped out. Okay. Now, an average week is 20% being stopped out. So far, we're on the right side of the curve. I'm now going to drag up to the big screen the Concierge Trade Alerts from Sunday and from last night. If you want to grab a screenshot, simplest way to do that is grab the snipping tool, which is built in to Windows 10. Hold down the left mouse button, drag it across, release the mouse button. You now have an image that you can send, copy, or save as. Okay? All right. Now, that was Sunday night's alerts. Last night's alerts. Snipping tool, new, hold down left mouse button, drag, release left mouse button and do with as you please. So let me sit there for a minute so you can grab it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go to the chart. Start out with the S&P 30-minute chart. Okay. Now I'll remove this for just a moment. Clear up the screen. On Sunday night, we had an alert to be long 29.59. This was Sunday night. Here we go. Stand by one moment. Somebody left the door open in Studio A. We'll have to talk about that. All right, buy 29.59. There's a weekly trading zone overhead from last week. Last week's highest weekly trading zone. 29.79/29.80. Okay. So Sunday night we open, we trigger, and from 29.59 we make a run up to where we would expect to find resistance. Why? Because that's where the chart tells us to look for resistance. And what did resistance do? Resistance sent us back down to the trigger, and this time we made it all the way up to that weekly trading zone from last week, the highest weekly zone, from 59 to 79. That's 20 points at $50 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Okay. Now, when you start with us, you start in Sim. We want you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row in Sim where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you go live. And if that seems unbearable or unthinkable, then what we offer is probably not for you. Because ours is a slow, measured, well laid out approach. Okay? Once you complete those 10 consecutive days in a row, you'll get the green light to go live with one contract. The goal then becomes to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, you get the green light to add a second contract. Beautiful thing is you're adding the second contract with profit you earned in the market. That's a big day. That could be the big day in your career as a trader. Because if you're adding the second contract, not with your savings, but with profit you earned in the market, well, that's the first step of building a profitable trading business. Okay, still got a long way to go. But the blueprint will also give you the green light when it's time to add number 3, because you got to get comfortable trading too. The blueprint will tell you when it's time to add number 3, and you should never feel obligated to add another contract at any point. The green light is simply saying, okay, you've spent enough time at 2 contracts that if you feel comfortable, you can now increase to 3. The same with number 4, with number 5, right on up to 10, and however large you decide to grow your trading size. And in uncertain markets, there's nothing wrong with reducing. If you're trading 20 contracts and the market is perhaps in consolidation or just not giving you as clear a picture as you would like, you can always reduce your size. You can drop to 5. Okay, you don't have to trade the number you've earned the right to trade on every trade. Okay? Now think about it. If your goal is 2 points a day on the S&P, just 2 points, right? Would we say this was a 20-point move right here over the course of an hour? But that required some patience to get to this point. Okay. 2 points in the S&P at $50 a point, it's $100 bucks. Okay. Well, by the time you've earned the right to trade 5 contracts, those same 2 points are now worth 500 bucks over a 5-day week. That's an income I think that most folks can pay their bills with. Okay. And by the time you increase or earn the right to trade 10, oh my goodness, that puts you in the top 3% of wage earners worldwide. Now, not a lot of things I can promise you in the world of trading, but I promise you, if you jump from SIM to 10, or 1 to 10, or 2 to 10, it won't end well. Okay? We've structured it the way we've structured it, conservatively, because based upon 15 years of historical evidence and working with thousands of traders, that's what works best for the most people over the largest sample size. Hey, you might be that 1 in 1,000, but statistically speaking, you probably aren't. And this is a business based on probabilities. To be successful in trading, you need a definable edge. A definable edge is simply a higher probability of one thing happening over another thing. And the second that you get cocky and think you've got it figured out or you've mastered it, the second you make it about more than just a probability, hang up your mouse, go home. Because that does not end well. Okay, so Monday night, last night, the alert was to be long $29.95. $29.95. All right, on the initial run up, put in a swing high at 30.12. So 12 and 5, that's 17. Alexa, 17 times 50.
17 times 50 is 850.
Okay. So that was an $850 per contract move. Okay. Now, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. You saw it Sunday night, and you saw it again today. Price came back down to the trigger. We didn't quite get below the trigger. In fact, the swing low was $29.96. Okay. However, once you learn how to read a chart, understand how markets work, understand the indicators and the information that they convey, even though we didn't drop back below the trigger, you could be long here. Now, if you are long here, that's a counter trend trade. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. Up. It's no longer, it was counter trend, okay? Up to that point. Now we're back above the BBC. That's in keeping with the trend, okay? Because as you can see, the trend is up, all right? So from here, Valerie, if you want to put this in the alert channel, consider being long 3010 to 3012 with the appropriate weekly trading zone overhead. Now, often there is a point between the target on an alert and the weekly trading zone. All right, there's John. I'm thinking of adding something to the alert. I'm thinking of adding a support and resistance area, because sometimes you'll have the entry, as you always do. You'll have a target or multiple targets, as you always do. And then the final trade to target is always the weekly trading zone. On a long, it's the zone overhead. On a short, it's the zone below. But there may be an obvious area of support and resistance between that target and the final target. And so, I'm taking into consideration publishing that number. If I decide to do that, then I will give you a heads up in the discussion group and explain to you exactly how to interpret it. John, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us.
Hi there. Sorry I'm a bit late.
No worries.
Thanks.
Glad to have you.
Okay. Glad to be here. There's a lot of kind of interesting things going on today. We actually put out a tweet last week saying that we thought that the thing had peaked. The virus had peaked.
Uh-huh.
And, quite a while ago, we said we'd probably have about 100,000 recoveries a week. And we've been doing even better than that. We almost had twice that number. So we're up to about almost 2.5 million recoveries. A lot of them haven't been updated, especially the UK. So we're probably closer to pushing 3 million recoveries, which is a big deal. I wish CNN would put it up on their thing instead of trying to be the Grim Reaper all the time,
Yeah, they got a real issue with that, don't they?
They sure do. But it's so pathetic, frankly. But anyway, so that's the good news. And look, the global cases peaked about 4 days ago. Even Brazil is going down. I think only India, even India peaked potentially. I wouldn't swear by it yet, but a lot of places are going down, and the global peaks are starting to look like we may finally be seeing the downhill slope on this thing. And I'm personally of the view that I think it's coming back. Actually, there might be some little wavelets. I don't see a big rebound in the fall. I think that's a lot of fear mongering right now.
Oh, we sure hope you're right.
I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but it's these other SARS deals. They sort of came and went pretty quick. And this one, I don't know. There's something about that prophecy, that was from where it said that in the 20s, in 2020, the virus would come and go just as quick as it
would
came.
disappear as quickly as it appeared.
I think that I'm kind of sticking by that right now. So obviously that would be huge if it happens. The market. We thought Boeing, as you know, I'm very bullish on Boeing, and Boeing is up quite a bit today. It's up nearly $10, and the airlines are acting better. They're actually very strong today. The Nasdaq is not acting so great today. It's very close.
NQ led us to the downside this morning.
Yeah, it's something to be very aware of, because we're almost at an all-time high. And what would be very bad, in my view, is if we fail to go to having gone to an all-time high in Amazon and some of the medical stocks and things, if we fail to confirm that with the index not going to a new high and then turn down, it could be quite bad, actually. It could be almost like a double top.
Here's the NQ June contract on a daily chart.
Yeah, I mean, if something bad comes out of the left field, and with all this stuff going on with China, who knows, anything could happen, and this market were to take a big plunge from here, it would be probably very bad. I think it could really turn pretty ugly pretty quickly. So I think you have to be mindful of that possibility where you sort of come in one morning and the Dow's down 1,000 or 2,000 instead of being up like we've seen, and maybe gold is going the same way. That's kind of the way I see it today. The Dow definitely being as strong as it is and having not yielded much ground is you always got to be careful when the Dow's the last man standing, and so we're seeing the dogs, if you like, the airlines, and some of the industrial stocks that have suffered, like Boeing, they're coming back to life, which is a good thing. But the Nasdaq is definitely under a bit of pressure today, and is potentially poised for a downturn. Now, a day like today, especially being a Tuesday, we've seen a lot of Tuesdays sort of start out okay and then go weak, and that's a bad sign if that happens. The Nasdaq, if it cannot get going here, if it can't rebound to where it was, is definitely vulnerable to another drop. What you've got to be very, very careful of today is that if the Nasdaq were to go negative, and which I think it's already been actually, but if it goes back to negative.
Well, here's the daily candle on the June contract. So
yeah,
we're a little bit below the midpoint of the session.
Yeah, so it actually went down to unchanged this morning, by the looks of it, and so if it goes negative, it could drag the rest of the market down with it. So if that happens, it would be very bad. So we have to keep that in mind. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just kind of outlining for it just in case. Because even though we got the SpaceX lift off, which could be a really
it failed this morning.
What do you mean? Is it going? They're not going to have it, or what?
Well, here I've got the. Hang on.
You mean the test or something?
Virgin Orbit, the company founded.
No, that's the Virgin. That's not SpaceX.
Okay, it was the company's first test launch of a new rocket, which had been in development.
No, that's not. That's the SpaceX. It looks like it's still on for tomorrow.
Oh, for tomorrow. Okay, well, the one they tried today failed.
Yeah. So but anyway, if maybe that doesn't go off or something like that, and it gets postponed, that could be a little bit negative. Right now, Boeing's really moving. It's looking very, very good, actually. It pulled back a little bit this morning off the highs to 143, gave me an excellent buy signal by 143 3/4, and it's really pushing. Yeah, Boeing, BA.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how, we gapped up, we got a little doji there at the moment, but if we start going green, the more green we go today, it really is, it could be a little bit like, back in late March, where you see how'd be the massive rally. The measured move actually takes this thing up to about 200 from here, if it can do it. But I'm not. I'm just saying, so far so good. We basically call this low at around 120, or even in the high teens, and it's so far it's gone up quite a bit. It could, if it really gets going from here, it could accelerate higher. And if you want to pull up UAL,
sure. There we go.
You can see the airlines are actually looking quite constructive here after a long basing out period. And I think the NCLH, which is Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Yeah, John, UAL has taken out this little trend line that I just drew on the chart.
Yeah.
See there, we ran into trouble on Friday. Couldn't get through there, but today we've gapped up, and it looks like it's trading at the high of the session. So
yeah, and look, a gap. These gaps. Look what happened on the way down. That first gap that you can just see on the left-hand side,
right there,
of the screen was the death knell of the airlines, and so this could be the renaissance of the airlines. That's starting here. We could be in for. Remember, we had a false gap the last time. See that previous rally, where it went down to a new low, effectively, or double bottom. But this one could be the real deal. So you have to play it as if it's going to be the real deal until proven otherwise. So Tesla right now, actually, look at that! It just popped while we've been on. It was pulled back a little bit, and it was about 818. It's now 823, going on 24, looking very good.
We gapped higher on the open though, and we're pulling a red candle.
Yeah, pull back a bit. Yeah, which is okay. Sometimes it's positive. It's constructive when we're pulling back. But once again,
every uptrend has red daily candles.
Yeah.
In fact,
but now we're
if an uptrend doesn't have any red daily candles, then you should be on red alert because one's coming. You're dealing with a parabolic move, and we know those don't typically end well.
yeah. I mean, that's Tesla live, right? It doesn't look, it's not out of the woods by any means yet. That thing has to really close strong today to get people
If it could close,
going.
yeah, it may take a couple days. We need to see like 851, 852, and then we got a shot at like 865. Could be a very nice trade, but it's got some work to do to get into tradable position.
Could you put up JPM? Let's have a look at J. I thought the banks are going to do well today, and they are doing well actually.
New home sales came in better than expected today, which has got to be surprising to a lot of folks considering.
Yeah. No, the JPM, that's a very big deal. That gap today, that's one of the best gaps we've seen in a while. Could you put up the Russell 2000?
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's a daily chart of the Russell. This is 2,000 small cap stocks, guys. I refer to it as my man in the street because these large cap companies, these blue chips, sometimes they can lose touch with what's going on at ground level, up in their ivory towers, so to speak.
Yeah.
These small cap companies are, I believe, a lot closer to the pulse of the economy.
Mm-hmm. The reason I asked you to bring the Russell up is because we had that very strong buy signal about a week and a half ago on that doji, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it was last Monday, I guess, we went limit up. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And even though we pulled back, a limit move usually means the market's got further to go.
That's right.
And it certainly has managed to do that. So it was a great buy. Really ahead of the weekend, and it was a great buy last night as well. So, and it's making a new high. So it's certainly impressive so far. However, I would be, if we do get a downturn, that may change the whole picture. Can you put AMD up?
There we go.
Yeah, you see, this is the semiconductors, which are being very, very strong. And even NVIDIA and some of these other things, NVDA, made a new high recently, I believe, a new all-time high, and probably are coming off today. So not so bad on NVIDIA, but AMD I'm not so keen on at the moment. So the tech sector is definitely vulnerable at this point. Apple also is flirting with all-time highs, AAPL. Very close to an all-time high, but again, it's kind of decelerating here.
There's Apple.
Yeah. Got a bit of a tale to tell. Kind of an interesting thing happened this weekend. The fellows who built my machine were not too keen on me putting the Samsung drive in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Compatibility issues or something?
No, I think they just, first of all, they didn't like the fact that I kind of jumped the gun on them and sort of found out something better than they had already put in.
Right.
And said, I could have all sorts of complications and everything. So here's the amazing thing. If you could actually pull up the drive, because it's worth taking a look at again.
Let's see, do I still have it up from our conversation?
Samsung
last
97,
week?
Samsung 9, yeah, Samsung 970. 970 Pro, there you go.
970 Pro?
You got it just underneath, there you go.
Right there?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, here's a surprising thing. When you look at the picture of it, right?
Okay. There it is. If you're not looking at it close like there, it kind of looked like maybe a half-inch drive or 3/4 inch drive that goes down. You're looking at the end of it, right? So
the thing, I got the memory, so we have 128 gigs now, and it was pretty heavy. And then this thing arrives, and it's as light as a feather, you know. So, and it's no bigger than a stick of Wrigley's chewing gum, to be honest with you.
Well, I remember, you know, I had a what I thought was a fancy TV. It was like a big screen. I forget how many inches, but it weighed about 900 pounds. So when I decided to modernize, this is quite a few years back, and I went down and bought my first big screen flat panel TV. The guy comes out and he hands it to me, and I'm like, sir, this box is empty. I'd like to get one with a TV in it, please. He laughed. He goes, sir, it's got the TV in it. And I could hardly believe it. Because I'm telling you, it took two grown, strong men grunting and groaning to get the old TV out of my house. And I carried the new one in, which was much bigger, greater picture. I mean, I carried it in with one hand.
Yeah. So anyway, they were also worried whether the guys who I know, our technical guys had the technical expertise to put this thing in. So, which they fortunately did.
It should be. It's not just as simple as plug and play, huh?
Oh no, absolutely not. This is a very delicate thing. So you have to actually take a cover. There was a sort of a metal cover, silver cover on the motherboard. Had to remove that, and then this. I mean, if you didn't know the computer, you'd never figure this out. So then it goes to slot in, and they have to nail it down, so it actually becomes an integrated part of the motherboard. So the transfer rate obviously is phenomenal because of that.
Because my solid state drive is like it's inside the computer, but it's in a drive bay. It's not.
Yeah, no, this is actually on the board, on the motherboard.
That's not something I would attempt on my own.
Right. No, that's what I mean. Is I was amazed by it, and then they covered it up, and so I went away for about an hour and a half, and came back, and there it was working. Everything was copied over as smooth as silk. They disconnected the old drive, but we kept it in just in case. And got it home. A little bit hard to set up all the screens and everything, but you know what? Came back. I wasn't sure if I'd have to put new passwords in and everything. It came back to start it up and it was as smooth as silk.
Wow.
And it's definitely operating faster and much better than before. So I'm incredibly pleased with the way this thing worked out. It really is very impressive.
Read speeds up to 3,500 megabytes a second. Write speeds up to 2,700.
Yeah, it's really something.
Backed up by a limited warranty of 5 years. Or up to, is that 1,200 terabytes of writing? Is that what that means?
Something like that, yeah. I've got the 1 terabyte model.
Dynamic thermal guard and heat dispensation solutions guarantee unparalleled reliability.
I think I paid either 1,000.
You already know SSDs short and
for a 1 gigabyte drive in 2000. So this is 1,000 times bigger. Is that right? I guess it is. For like a third of the price.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how much things have changed.
Congratulations. I'm
Thanks.
happy for you.
So really, this thing can handle anything now. I think it'll probably, even if we have another crash, it should perform flawlessly. So I'm really pleased.
Now,
with
did you say you upgrade? It says it has 500 gigs of RAM on board. Did you up that?
It's to one terabyte.
Well, no, I'm talking about the RAM, not the storage capacity.
Oh no, 128.
So you doubled it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 128. Yeah. It's really, it's so smooth now. It's just fantastic. I mean, it's just like, and changing times and everything. It's just like instantaneous.
I'm sure your guys already did it, but make sure you create a restore point. So if something goes wonky, you can just roll it right back to where it was.
No, I've already got that all set up. Yeah. So look, the other thing that's going on here today is they have a habit of knocking the gold down after every holiday. And even though the gold was up this morning,
you actually mentioned that last week, something about knocking gold down after a holiday.
Right.
They did a fine job of it.
They sure did. there's somebody with a mission to get this gold down, and and that's a little bit of a hint that the market might be on living on borrowed time here as well. So we could have a little bit of a deflationary pullback in the metals, and then I think the next upside rally in the metals will be the one for the ages. It'll be a really big move. So in a way, it's kind of a gift because it's going to bring some of the gold stocks back to better entry points, and because they kind of got a bit overdone in the last few days. Mm-hmm. And then I think we'll be in good shape. Maybe you can pull up Google, Dwayne. I think Google's kind of acting particularly strong today.
There we go.
Yeah, look at that.
It's off the highs of the session, but it's definitely quite a gap higher open.
Yeah.
We closed Friday at 1410, and we opened today at 1437. That's a 20.
Yeah. Also, we haven't looked at FedEx for a while. FDX. It's actually acting well today too. Look at that. And,
that's what do you give credit for that?
I think just they've been there all through this, and in the same way as Amazon, they're probably getting the benefit of delivering a lot of stuff to people's homes. It's still a three-wave. It's a three-wave rally off the last low. So there is a risk of this turning down, but the higher it goes, I think the stronger it gets. That's kind of what I'd say about the Boeing and
we've got 25% of the exchange traders back on the floor today.
Yeah,
so,
have a look at Roku, Dwayne, as well. I think Roku's been particularly weak lately, but it might be at a point where it would turn today, and if it does, it might be in for another good leg to the upside. Can you
that swing low? Yeah, we're at a point where today, if this thing finishes green today and we open positive tomorrow, that could be the beginning of the next up leg.
Yeah. INO.
There we go.
Yeah, look, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit about these vaccine stocks. There was a guy on. I happened to be watching CNN this morning at about 6 o'clock earlier, and there was a fellow from Harvard on. Boy, he really kind of gave a very brutal assessment of the vaccine situation.
Oh, really?
And even though there's about 100 vaccine sort of contenders out there, he was basically saying that almost none of them got a chance. The problem is there's, before they actually vaccinate millions, they've got to test hundreds of thousands of people. And he said that this particular virus is not creating very strong antibodies. It's pretty spotty, and it's, there's no guarantees the vaccine will get the response, produce enough of a response to create the immunity. And this is, by the time, if this thing does come back, it might come back as a variant or a hybrid of its former self. Mm-hmm. So it really is he said it's painted a pretty bleak picture, actually, to tell you the truth. So I would say while we will get, some up moves in these vaccine stocks, possibly even to new highs in INO, potentially, I think there's going to be a lot of money made on the downside of these vaccine stocks as they fail to deliver one by one. And this could go on for months. There could be a lot of enthusiasm in some of these stocks, and then it turns out to be nothing.
Right.
And so, in a way, that first pullback in INO could be a harbinger of things to come, because, when this becomes, if there is a kind of a disappointment down the road in a lot of these vaccine stocks, hopefully we won't need a vaccine, and that's my personal feeling at the moment.
If we trade 1250, we very well may see 1050.
Yeah. More importantly, as Trump says, it's a lot better having a therapy than a vaccine. The quicker we can knock this thing out with a therapy, the better everybody's going to be. So that's the area to be. And by the way, this guy didn't have much to say about remdesivir either. He said it's pretty useless, frankly. So this guy, yeah, he was really.
Well, the World Health Organization, which we've already talked about today, but they have. In fact, I have it right in front of me here. We also talked about the saber rattling coming out of China. That if Trump doesn't stop, he's gonna have a new Cold War on his hands.
Somebody was talking about that, and to be honest with you, China's going to go out of business if it isn't for the U.S. We got all the cards, and the rest of the world has all the cards, so they're gonna really suffer.
The World Health Organization is temporarily halting a study on hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine as potential COVID-19 treatments due to safety concerns. The WHO director announced
I think that's.
Monday, yesterday.
Yeah, by the way, we got the rare situation of the dollar and gold going down together again, which sometimes happens temporarily, but
dollar.
Look at that. I meant to bring that up. I'm glad we brought that up today because I think it's the beginning of the end of the dollar here today.
All right. Well, we got potential support at about 98.57, and then we got support around 98.28. If we take out 98.20, it's a practical free fall back down to 95.
The dollar is kind of, it's a little bit of a harbinger of things to come, possibly with the market. Look what happened back in March, right, when we went down to 95. We could be headed back down to 95, maybe even down to 90 from here. So certainly there's a measured move down to about 97 or 96 right now. So, and all the currencies, by the way, look really strong. The Australian dollar, the Canadian, the British pound, they've all, and by the way, it was a good call of yours on the pound from the last high up around the 134 down to the 115. But that 115 bottom is pretty solid on the pound. And I think that's...
Well, I'm surprised you remember that. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't as bearish as you, that's why. So I thought the pound would do a bit better with Boris there, but it didn't. So that's the euro. Can you put the pound against the dollar?
I was just looking for the pound. Can I just get the pound? Here, I'll just go this way. Now, guys, and this goes way back to, guys, see this head, shoulder. This is the breakdown I was looking for. So, anyway, thanks.
Well, interestingly, you got the breakdown came, and look at the way it recovered.
It did recover.
I mean, that's a monthly chart, remember.
It is.
But if you look at the weekly or daily, you'll see a better structure potentially developing. That could mean the bottom is in. I wouldn't swear by it right now, but it looks pretty constructive.
If we take out this neckline again, wow.
Yeah, no, forget about it. All bets are off.
Challenging. But you're right. It was a very strong recovery after the neckline broke.
Yeah. So that's more or less the state of affairs today.
Okay, John. Well, listen, I'm sure glad you're feeling better. Thanks so much for everything.
No, likewise. Thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, guys, back to where we were on the S&P. Okay? Last night's Concierge Trade Alert trigger, 29.95. Came back, didn't quite get below the trigger. Okay? If it had and you were trading along, you would have to recognize that you got the BBC overhead and red and falling. Price needs to get above the BBC. It needs to get above red and falling in order for it to do what it's currently doing. Okay. All right. Let's go to the Dow. Last night's alert for the Dow. was to be long 24/7/80. And from 24/7/80, we traded up to the highest weekly trading zone from last week. No, I put that line in there for, yeah, this was last week's highest weekly trading zone down here. I put that line in during a mentoring session. Okay. So 24/7/80. So we've traded Alexa. Here, I'll just do it myself. She gets confused sometimes with the big numbers. 25092 minus 24780. That's 312 points on the Dow so far. At $5 a point, it's $1,500 per contract traded. Now the trader who is willing to put in the time to learn how markets work, to understand our very simple methodology and strategy, and then to utilize the blueprint as it's laid out. I already explained that. 10 consecutive days in sim, go live with one contract, increase your account balance, step by step. The trader who is willing to go through all that to earn the right to trade 10 contracts, this represents a $15,000 move. I mean, now we didn't do the heavy lifting, the market did. We're like the theater ushers of days gone by. Show up late for the movie, there's a guy with a little pillbox hat, got a flashlight, he shines the light so that you can see where you're going without tripping and falling. Okay? So 300 points, $5 a point, $1,500 per contract trade. Last night on the Russell, the alert was to consider being long, 1387. There's 1387. First move up took us to 1395. Alexa, 95 minus 87.
95 minus 87 is 8.
Okay, at $50 a point, that's $400 per contract traded. Price came back to the trigger, did it again, came back to the trigger, did it again. This time we put in a swing high at 1398. Alexa, 98 minus 87. I guess that's 11. So that's a $550 per contract move. Price came back to the BVC. Remember, it holds more often than it doesn't. And that took us from 1389 to 1409. That's a 20-point move at $50 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Now, you're probably wondering, well, dude, where's your stochastics? Where's your MACD? I don't even see Bollinger Bands. Well, you can't be no count. You have no Keltner channels. I have the utmost respect for all of those things. I'm sure they all do exactly what they were created to do. It's just that our strategy, our methodology is so simple it doesn't require them. It doesn't improve the results. And our methodology will stand toe-to-toe with any algorithm or any methodology or strategy that is complicated, sophisticated, and uber expensive. Not bragging, not boasting, not even saying we're the best. Just haven't seen anyone yet that has results that are any better. That's all. They're probably out there. I just haven't seen them. You show me, I'll invite them on the show. If they have the years of the consistent results that we've produced with Concierge Trade Alerts and over the last almost 100 weeks with the logic, then hey, I'll buy their program, right? I mean, we all want to do as good as we can, right? So anyway, price just keeps doing the same thing over and over, again and again, day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year. So you can fight the trend and all that, or you can just go with the flow. Everybody's got to call that shot for themselves. Speaking of bucking the trend, here's the NQ. And in the discussion group this morning, I said, hey, we got to get above this number to go higher. Otherwise, going lower. And right now, we're trying to pull back to the BBC. Now, the alert last night for the NQ was to be long 95.50. Which is right there. 95.50, and we put in a high at 9,600. That's 50 points at $20 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. That's $1,000 per contract traded. Okay. And if you were waiting on the exit signal, it came in at 95.74.75. Bearish cross. Price pulls away. Price pulls back to touch the BBC. Remember, it holds more often than it doesn't. So if we can make our way back to the BBC, if the bulls can push us that high, anticipate another down leg on the NQ until proven otherwise. On the NQ, we also said consider being short 94.70. Okay, there's 94.70, and the swing low was 94.12. Yeah, let's call it 94.20. From 70 to 20, that's 50 points at $20 a point. So you've got $1,000 per contract traded on the long side and $1,000 per contract traded on the short side. That covers all the indices, the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. Crude, what did crude do? Well, we said consider being long 33.95. $33.95. Now, triggers are important prices at important areas, okay? And that line's a little too long, because the Globex open last night happened on this candle, and the alerts went out on this candle, okay? So you're triggered, right? Your supporting cast of characters, you got blue and climbing, you got the step line below you, price pulls back to that step line, get a little bit below it, but we're still above the BBC. Afterburners kick in, and from 33.95 we go to 34.54. So that's about $600 per contract traded. Price gets back below the trigger. This time, though, we're below the BBC. So you see how as we pull up to the BBC, you see how that acts as resistance all across here? Then we get the tiniest of bullish crosses, but here goes price. And price takes us once again from the trigger at 33.95 to 34.80. That's about $850 per contract traded. On the short side, 32.35. Haven't got there yet. Will we? Well, if this pullback to the BBC holds, we will. And here's crude on the daily. Okay, this is a daily chart. I published this chart a couple of months ago, I think. But or at least a month, maybe a month. But I pointed out all the areas where you should expect resistance, where you should find support, windows of opportunity. We've been hanging out just above this window of opportunity and just below this daily resistance for some time. So keep that in mind. I have posted a copy of this chart in the discussion group. Okay. All right, so the last thing on the ticket would be gold. And last night we said to consider being short gold at 1722. $17.22. So the initial move took us down to 17.19. So from 22 to 19, that's a $300 per contract move. We get back above the trigger, and from 17.22, we make it down to 17.05. That's $1,700 per contract traded. That's 17 grand for the 10 contract trader who's earned the right to trade 10 contracts. Let's go to our good word for the day. Today we'll talk about vision. If you don't have one, you need to get one. Psalm 89:19. Once you spoke in a vision to your faithful people, you said, I have bestowed strength on a warrior. I have raised up a young man from among the people. The psalmist says, you spoke in a vision to your faithful people. You said, I have found David, my servant. With sacred oil I have anointed him. My hand will sustain him. Surely my arm will strengthen him. Great vision always precedes great achievement. And God is the giver of great visions. So if you don't have one, ask him for one. God, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I need some vision. And then wait on the Lord. Don't go to sleep, just wait. Vision gives birth to the goal. It sparks and fuels the fire within and moves you forward in spite of the odds and the obstacles. To get a handle on the word vision, you need to understand these things. Number one, vision comes from God. True vision, godly vision, comes from God. He knows what you're capable of. He knows what he has gifted you to do. Are you looking beyond yourself, even beyond your own lifetime, as you seek your vision? If not, you may be missing your God-given potential and his best for you. If after seeking God for a vision, you still don't have one, consider partnering with someone whose vision resonates within you. We can't all be the leader, right? Every great leader has to have some great followers, some great, and follower almost seems like, well, I don't want to be the follower, I want to be the leader. Well, yeah, everybody wants to be the boss. Have you ever been the boss? I got news for you. So not all fun and games. But if that's your vision, your God-given vision, that you need to get after it. Number two, vision draws on your history. Vision isn't some mystical quality that comes out of a vacuum. It grows out of your past experiences and the history of the people around you. Vision, number 3, meets other people's needs. A God-given vision goes far beyond what one person can accomplish. It includes and blesses others. If your vision doesn't do that, it's probably too small. When God gave my wife and I a vision to partner with Chris and Agnes to open the orphanage in Africa, which has stood the test of time now for 20 years. Had we looked to our own resources, our own knowledge, our own experience, our own financial resources, we'd have said, well, we can't do this. How many times in the Bible did God tell somebody to go do something and they said, oh, I can't do that? Jonah. I mean, the list is long. Jeremiah. Even Moses. I can't do that. And God says, yes, you can. Because I have your back. So my wife and I were just foolish enough to follow God. And how many thousands of lives were saved? Not because of me, not because of my wife, but because we allowed God to move through us, to just simply use us as a vessel. So it's all God's looking for is a man or a woman that he can use for his purpose. Now, when you raise your hand and say, pick me, just know that that's not all a glory train. There's some trial and tribulation up ahead if you decide to follow this God-given vision. First thing you got to do is you got to make sure it is from God. Because the enemy can show up and look like an angel. Number 4. Vision attracts resources like a magnet. When Chris and Agnes and my wife and I got together, people laughed at us. They laughed at me and my wife. Oh my God, how much money are they going to throw away on this whole Africa thing? But as the vision grew and enlarged and became a reality, and at first there was 100 kids, and there was 200, pretty soon there were 700. People rallied. People came out of nowhere. A doctor showed up from Germany. A businesswoman showed up from Colorado. The list goes on. Hey, can we pitch in? Can we help? Can we be a part of this? A God-given vision attracts resources like a magnet. It draws, challenges, and unites people. It also rallies finances and other resources. The greater your vision, the more faith-filled people it will attract. And the more challenging the vision, the harder the participants will fight to achieve it. We were staring down the barrel of a dark continent with 13 million children who had been orphaned by the deadly ravages of AIDS. And we just kept moving forward. Because we knew God had our back. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.